Well, you may be able to tell I've taken the RZR apart quite a bit. I've started taking off the front suspension. I've gotten a plethora of parts in, and we're going to start building things, putting things together. I was going to do kind of a tutorial of all the stuff. However, I don't think that I'm the right man for that job. I do have technical ability. I don't necessarily call things the right names, and I don't want to tell anybody the wrong information. So I would say anything that you're going to do, make sure that you're doing it within your abilities and get a shop manual for torque specs and just keep track of things, lay it out, and do it the right way. So since the last video, I've gotten a ton of parts in, and I'm still waiting on a whole bunch. So now remember the goal is here is to make it to the Mint 400. However, we also want to hit a bunch of other races. Our goal is to make it to UTV Worlds. I want to make it to the Parker 250. I want to do Reno to Vegas. I think it used to be called the Laughlin Classic. Those are the 4 races I believe that I can run in the Best in the Desert series as a rally, sportsman rally car without going up to a lot of extra stuff. You can pretty much run it in a stock car. Now, stock car, there's still a lot that goes into that. We're going to have to do the cage, which I have on order. We're going to have to do, we've got wheels and tires. You can kind of see them in the back. They're wrapped up in plastic. I've gotten a whole bunch of parts, and since this is a used car, I wanted to rebuild a lot of things on it. Let me show you what I'm going to build. So far, I've gotten a lot of the suspension stuff in. So the main thing that I wanted to focus on when I was looking at cars was, it's the back and forth. And I'm sure anybody that's looking at buying a RZR that's racing or just for recreation and fun, you're going to look at, should I buy a turbo car? Should I buy an NA car? Pretty soon, I think that's going to be pretty simple, as I think most NA cars are probably going to be going away and everything will just be factory turbo. And to be honest, I'm probably going to switch or upgrade to a turbo car in the next year or two. But the whole point of me doing this was to try to prove that you can do it on a pretty tight budget and still make it to some of the biggest races that there are here in the States as far as desert racing, RZR racing is concerned. Now, short course is something very different, and there still will definitely be a place for NA cars there. There's still a pro NA class, and who knows how long that'll be around. I don't know. So, but now with like the Pro XPs and stuff and everything, kind of just everything being turbo, but they're still producing NA, XP 1000. So who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. However, my goal was to do it on a budget. And in order to do it on a budget, an NA car, naturally aspirated car, so non-turbo, was the route to go. So if you saw my last video, I got a 2016 RZR. It had 2,600 miles on it, 2,611 miles on it. It has 153 hours on it. So it's still in good shape. And just so you know, I just found this out. RZRs, generally the engine, you do a top end at 8,000 miles. So kind of interesting information. But my focus was, instead of power, I want to make sure that I have suspension and control. It's kind of like autocross in that sense, or like car racing and just all kind of four-wheel racing, is you start with a lower, lesser powered car that's smaller and easier to control, and you learn control first, and then you add the power aspect. Anybody can go fast. Anybody can mash the gas pedal. It's very difficult to control that power and use it effectively where it needs to be used. So my goal is to hit suspension. First things first, one of the main things that I wanted to get and upgrade my front suspension was control arms. So I decided to go with a Super ATV. It's a high clearance control arm. These are the chromoly series, or the chromoly A arms. They're a little bit more expensive than their standard high clearance, but they still have one that's above it, and it's a welded box frame. I went chromoly with the threaded ball joints. These are going to give me 1.5 inches offset, so it's going to push my front wheels forward 1.5 inches. Plus, it's going to give me, I think, 2 or 3 inches of additional clearance underneath the vehicle, which is going to be great for clearing rocks, obstacles, and everything else. And at the end of the day, I'm still going to use this car as a recreational vehicle. So I wanted to do things that were both going to be functional for racing and that are going to be fun, just going to Moab, going to the desert, etc. These guys were about $665. You can get them in a bunch of different colors. I have no relationship whatsoever with Super ATV, other than the fact that I've put their A-arms on 2 of my other RZRs. And I really like them. They're very, very strong. They're very stout. And I'll show you here in just a second a comparison of the stock versus the Super ATV. Okay, so we've got the Super ATV and we have the stock A-arm. You can see how dramatically more reinforced everything is, how much stronger everything is. Your tubing is thicker. It's also bigger in diameter slightly, but it's much, much stronger. The bearings and seals, everything are going to be much stronger. Ball joints are going to be dramatically stronger. These are also greasable. Factory ones are not. So that's another big thing. So all around, just dramatically more beefy. Okay, so the front control arms are definitely much heavier duty. These Super ATV arms over stock. I've already got the bottom ones mounted up. Let me show them to you. And then I went ahead and I did something else too that I want to show you guys as well. So check this out. All right, so I got the bottom ones on. And the nice thing about these Super ATV ones is these adjustable, well, it's camber joints. So you can adjust your wheel in and out on the bottom. So that's pretty cool. And then they're both greasable, which is also very nice. The factory ones, they were both greasable on the bottom as well, but the top was only on one side. Actually, it's the same. So, but nonetheless, they are greasable. So, but I also went ahead and one of the things that can kind of get weird on these is I added this plate. So it's kind of hard to tell, but this is a plate. You can see where it says RC. It's a rough country plate. And what this does is it's a frame stiffener or a frame gusset. And it pinches where these bolts are. These factory tabs can distort, especially if you're really hammering whoops or something like that. These can get weird. So this is made out of 3/16 steel, stamped steel. It's laser cut and then pressed. So they're awesome. It also came with grade 8 bolts, which is nice. And so we went ahead and put that on there as well. So we want this front end to be super stout. So it was important to me to make sure that my front suspension was really solid. Now, if you think about it, this is going to take all the abuse before anything else. Every bump that you hit, every rock that you hit, every corner you misjudge and overshoot a berm, all of that stress and force is going to be on this front suspension. So I wanted to make this as strong as possible. I think that this is probably where I would see the most problems as far as breakage and things like that. I do have some upgrades for the back. I'm probably going to change the trailing arms at some point, but I'm not sure which kit I'm going to go with yet. The jury's kind of still out on the Super ATV one. I've had some mixed reviews on it, so I'm not sure if I'm going to go that route. I've heard that it's hard to get it to align, so I don't know if I want to use those. I may go with either, I believe Cognito makes a kit for these. Zebros makes one. I might do that. It's a high clearance. Those are cool, so we'll see what we can figure out. So with that all being said, it's time to start putting all this back together. Just make sure that when you're doing it, clean up all these surfaces. You're going to have to take these knuckles off anyway if you're going to replace all this stuff. This is not necessary to race in the Mid. In my mind it is, just because it's so crucial, and being a used car. The factory stuff on a brand new car would probably hold up, but I'm not going to risk it. It was worth the investment to me. The money that I saved, and this is how I justified it, the money that I saved versus buying an NA car versus a turbo car, I put that money into my suspension. So hopefully it'll get me to the end of it. But while you've got it apart, go ahead and clean up all of your wheel hubs. Check your bearings, make sure that they're good. I would clean up all these rusty surfaces. Just make sure everything's mounting flush and clean. And next we'll talk about axles and the axle choice that I made. So another thing with
these particular A-arms with the forward offset, because I'm gaining 1.5 inches, this is going to allow me to clear up to a 33-inch tire. I'm actually only going to run a 32, but you could run a 33. Technically, on a factory suspension, you can only run a 30. So that's going to help me with that there, running the size tires that I want to run. So that's another important thing to mention if you're going to go up in tires. So the last piece of the front for now anyway, because I'm still waiting on tie rods and things to get here, is going to be the axles. So now, most people are going to run the Rhino 2.0 axles from Super ATV. They're very, very well known for their axles. They're a fantastic product. They're expensive though. So they're about $200 a piece. What I decided to go with was the Tusk Gladiator axles. Now, I've had extremely good luck with Tusk in the past, and these are very well built. The boots, there's actually more boot, the bearings, or the bearing cups, or whatever they're called, these are bigger too, so it's going to allow for more articulation. Versus the stock axle, which is here. So, I guess if you can see, like it's definitely a little bit bigger. The axles are the same length, but those bearing cups are just bigger. The shafts themselves are a little bit bigger. It feels more stout. They are also powder coated really nice, which is cool. These are about $130. So my thought on it was I can get 6 of these for the same price as 4 Rhinos. So obviously I don't want to break anything, and my goal is to have something super strong. But if I was really going to spend the money and make sure that it wasn't going to break, I would probably buy 300M axle shafts. Those are basically the strongest alloy that you can buy. So, but I think that these Tusk axles are going to be fantastic, and Tusk is a cheaper brand. But I've had so many different Tusk things over the years, and I've never had anything fail on me. And I've done some pretty extreme stuff, and so I'm going to put some trust and faith into these axles. But if you're looking for a cheaper option, I think that these could be a winner. So let's go ahead and put some more stuff back together. All right, well, we've got the driver's side all put back together. You can see these high clearance arms. They raise up quite a bit. The axle actually almost sits inside of the cage of this A-arm, which is pretty cool. So it's definitely a clearance increase for sure, which will be very nice. Everything's reinforced. We got our lines all put back together. Don't forget to put Loctite on your caliper bolts, especially pretty much anything that you're not using a nylock bolt, which is going to be like the nuts the nylock bolt nuts rather, that have the little plastic kind of inserts in them. Make sure you're using Loctite for that. Yeah, so this side's done. I think it's going to be awesome. It's definitely a huge improvement over stock. It just looks, just physically stronger. We got our gusset plate on. I'm going to put the other side together, the passenger side back together, and everything will be ready to go. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully you're liking these videos. Hopefully you're rooting for me to make it, or maybe you're not. Either way, thanks for watching the videos all the way to this point. If you did like them, leave a like. Consider subscribing to us. We're gonna make it to the Mint, so here in 2 weeks I'll be there for 22's race. We'll do some film there, get some footage there, and I got some things to check out. Hopefully some people I can meet up there, kind of get some insight on some more race information. I know I got the cage coming tomorrow, so we got to figure out powder coat for that. We've got a ton more parts coming, lots to come. So definitely turn the notifications on. If you have any comments, anything, leave them down below. I'd love to chat with you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me in this journey. I do appreciate it. I'm doing this completely out of my own pocket. I have no sponsorship whatsoever, no help. I'm just saving up some money. I saved up some money and I'm chasing a dream. So
Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate you guys. Get out there, chase your dream, and have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.